All right, guys, welcome to today's class. Today, I want to continue. We're off where we left last week. So let's get started. So this is basically angle finding, angle chasing. All right. So I'm pretty sure you guys understand it if you're looking at this recording. As you can see, find x given the angles measured shown. You just need to know that supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. That's the important part. And the interior of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. For most of these questions, that's all you need to know. Or parallel lines also. You can also know about vertical angles. That's mostly all you need to know, right? So basically the whole point is just to show how you can angle chase. Example like this question is just trying to make your methods of angle chasing better. All right. But I think this review for you guys. So let's get started. 2.6.1 and 2.6.2. Let's start with 2.6.1. Find y in the figure at left below. Well, notice that this angle right over here, that is 180 minus y. Right? This is 38 degrees and 60 degrees. So let's just find this angle, 180 minus y. Well, we notice that 38 plus 62 is good plus 180 minus y is equal to 180. We subtract 180 minus y. Yeah, subtracting just gives you negative 180 plus y. So we do that. Now we get y is equal to 38 plus 62, which is 100. So y is indeed 100 degrees, right? Now let's go to 2.6.2. Now I'll let you guys give a go on this question. Now tell me the answer to chat. Let's get started with this question now. So, what is this? Well, notice that I want to give you guys a lemma. Right? It's very provable. It's very easy, in fact. I want to show that this exterior angle of a triangle, I'll just do it in red. This exterior angle is equal to the sum of these two other angles, right? Or i.e., that the exterior angle that's supplementary to the interior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the two other angles of the triangle. Let me prove this to you. It's a very easy proof. Oops, the area of the area of the triangle is the sum of the angles of the triangle is 180 degrees, right? Now, what is the sum of these two angles? Well, those are going to be 180 degrees minus the angle. Let's say it's BAC, right? Why? Is because BAC plus those two angles sum up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus BAC, that's going to be the sum of the two angles. From here, this just becomes, this is going to be equal to, since the supplementary angle of BAC is the exterior angle, that's going to be equal to the exterior angle. And so on. So over here, we get 110 is equal to 38 plus ACV in this case. And subtracting, this gives you 72 degrees. Or 72. Right? Now let's guys apply this to 2.6.3. Alright? You guys will try this question and tell me after your chat. Well, let's get started with this question now. So for this one, you can just bash out all the angles, or you can just use the same exact formula. I'll use the same exact formula to apply it, and to give you one more example. For this question, we can do 97. 97, this angle, since it's 97 degrees, it's going to be 83 degrees. Since it's 7 away from 90, 90 is in the middle, so it should be 7 less than 90, or 83. So we have 123 degrees is equal to 83 degrees plus y, or 40 degrees is equal to y. Answer is 40 degrees. Alright, now just move on to 2.6.4. Must an exterior angle of a triangle always be greater than 90 degrees? I'll together try this question and tell me answer to the chat. Let's get started with this question now. Must an exterior angle be greater than 90 degrees? No, because we can have all sorts of angles smaller than 180 degrees in a triangle. Now, if we're in extra times, try to figure out the sum of the interior angles and the sum of exterior angles with the side more than its three sides to figure out the right. I'll ask you guys, let you guys have a try the question and try to think what's the formula, right? Or how many degrees is in the hexagon below. Alright? Let's guys try this question and tell me your answer to the chat. All right, let's get started with this question now. So this is gonna be hard if you don't know the formula, or the formula for this is just 180 times n minus 2, where n is the number of sides. And, or you can think about it as multiple triangles. One triangle, two triangle, three triangle, and four triangles. Those are four triangles. 4 times 180 is 720. That's how you normally do this question. And how can we generalize this? Well, so we want to find the number of sides that or the angle doesn't have the sides on. So the angle has two sides. Alright? Now we can draw n minus 2. Since there's n sides, we can draw n minus 2 sides. I mean n minus 2 triangles. Then each of the n minus 2 sides will form a triangle with the diagonal. Alright? Can't go any farther from this. And each triangle has a total angle sum of 180 degrees, so it's 180 times n minus 2 degrees. Alright? Now I want to find parallel lines revisited. Alright? This is just parallel lines. What is wrong with PQR in the figure first diagram below? What can we say about lines K and M? Well, they're parallel. Why? What's wrong with PQR in the second figure? Well, what's wrong is because this is a transversal and it's not parallel. Alright? Because this clearly is not 40 degrees. It's like saying something's for claim is real. It's like saying like wolves in sheep clothing, alright? You're saying that it's 40 degrees, so it's like all of them are sheep. But then now you change it by a tiny bit. Is that still a sheep? And it turns out there's a wolf underneath it. Same thing was here. This is not 40 degrees. This is not the same. Alright? You're just labeling things. And this one gives you a very good bogus. Bogus means it's fake. Alright? A great bogus solution. Or, with lines K and M are parallel, then X, P, Y is equal to X, Q, Z. So we know that X, P, Y is equal to X, Q, Z, then K and M must be parallel. This solution is exactly the same as saying the following. If animal is a cat, then the animal must be 4 legs. My pet Spot has 4 legs. Spot must be a cat. Spot could be a dog, or knows that she has 4 legs. It's probably the same form. Yep. Suppose we have to say it's then that. If that, then this. Even though our original statement is true, the converse doesn't have to be true. I have to prove the converse separately. And here's the solution to this. And this is the angle proof. And also it makes sense because they clearly isn't the same if you eyeball it. It just clearly isn't the same. It's like saying something, and it turns out you're not correct. So you're just labeling it wrong, or just messing yourself up. And then this applies it, right? A parallel B is parallel to CD. Well, how do we prove that? Then we can prove that this is parallel because this angle 30 degrees, and this is also 30 degrees. Or how do we know this is 30 degrees? We can use oops. We can use the triangle angles and solve for it. It's clearly 70 degrees. It's 30 degrees. Yes, this is 30 degrees each. This must be a transversal line. And boom, that's your answer. That's how you prove it. We only did half of the problem proof in 2.2 proof in problem 2.2 before. Complete the proof by showing the two lines cannot meet to the left of PQ. Let's go try this question and turn us to chat. Just tell me the general idea. All right, so how do we approach this? Well, clearly, notice that suppose that the lines meet at PQ. All right. Say, for example, if the lines met at PQ. All right, they met at the left of PQ, as shown in the diagram that we can do. All right, like this. Red line is gonna be the line K. All right. Now we have QPR plus PQR plus PRQ. All right, let me just label it. It's gonna be R. Where PQR plus QPR plus PRQ is 180 degrees, and we have P is still 40 degrees. All right, and PQR in this example is 180 degrees minus 40 degrees, or 140 degrees. So this equation is just 140 degrees plus 40 degrees plus PRQ, or 100 equals 180 degrees. Therefore, at PRQ, same exact thing, which is impossible to do. Therefore, we can conclude that it is also impossible. Alright? Alright, now let's move on to 2.7.7.2. This is just basically the same exact solution. If just for a different side, you can just say you can reflect it. Alright? Now I just move on to 2.7.2. For the diagram below, we prove that if n cos k and m such that x is equal to y, that is corresponding angles are equal, then k is parallel to m. So use this fact to show that if y equals z, that is alternate interior angles are equal, then k is parallel to m. Let's get to try this question in 10 minutes through chat. Oh, let's get started with this question now. From the diagram below, we have proved that if n cuts k and m such that x equals y, that is corresponding angles are equal, then k is equal to m. Use the fact to show that if y equals z, then k is equal to m. Well, so we know that if y equals z, the measure of the z and x is vertical. It comes out to right. So they are equal. Z equals x. Since y equals z equals x, so by the previous result, this is parallel. Alright? Quite obvious since we gotta just use the fact that there's parallel lines, alright? We just gotta use this fact. It's a very important fact. Vertical angles. It's gonna help you a lot with parallel lines. And find x in this diagram now. I'm gonna try this question and tell me to chat. All right, let's get started with this question. So, if you guys eyeballed and thought it was 90 degrees, this is not true. It's not 90 degrees. There's a slight tilt. If you look very, very closely, there's a slight tilt, right? There's a reason there's no rectangle on the bottom corner, alright? So do not say it's 90 degrees. This angle will be 58 degrees, right? I want to find x degrees. Well, I want to prove that this angle, these are parallel lines. How do we prove this? Well, these are alternate interior angles. Remember this. And we already proved that in the last question. That alternate interior angles, if these are the same, then these lines must be parallel. And that is true. So this is just saying that this angle should be equal to 58 degrees. And then using this argument, you can get x equals 58 degrees. Alright? All you gotta do. Write the converse of each of the following statements, then identify whether or not that converse is true. I was gonna try this question and tell us to chat. Or let's get started with this question. If two teams are playing in the World Cup finals, then the teams must be playing soccer. If the two teams are playing soccer, then they must be playing the World Cup finals. This is obviously false. If the two of the angles of the triangle add up to 80 degrees, then one of the angles of the triangles must be 100 degrees. The converse is just reversing this. If one of the angles of the triangle must be 100 degrees, then two of the angles add up to 80 degrees. This is true. If the river is the longest river in the world, then it must be the Nile. And the Nile is indeed the longest river in the world. Alright, this is going to be true. Then if the river is Nile, then it's the longest river in the world. Yes, this is also very true. Kids, learn your geography. Geography is very important. In history, world history, it's going to be very important. If an animal is a bird, if an animal is a duck, then it must be a bird. So if it must be a bird, then this animal is a duck. If this is basically say if it's a duck, if it's a bird, then this is a duck. Clearly, this is not true. All right, this is clearly not true. All right, so we can kick this one out. This one's false. All right. So that's it for today's class. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.